weirdo.
I'm an asshole in recovery. I'm a recovering asshole. This is our Assholes Anonymous group. No, but yeah, I was a long time asshole. Man, I was such an asshole that now that I've changed, people don't even understand that I used to be an asshole. Like being fat. Like people are like, you're obese.
Yeah,
I'm like,
dude.
You see me obese. I was 270 when I got shot.
Really?
270, yeah. Remember when I run up out of us? My face is all
I mean,
round,
I guess I can't tell because you're like not in your normal kind of like
uniform, yeah.
uniform. So
270
I can't. Like you've
But
lost
my
weight.
face- But if I shave
So
this,
fantastic.
you would see it.
Okay, so congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, and I apologize for not noticing.
No, I love that.
You love fat jokes?
I'm teasing. I'm gonna let you do this. I'll stop.
Oh yeah. Okay, you don't want me to get
you
started.
don't know what it is because you and I will just forever, and I don't want to ruin our experience. I've seen you forever. Sorry.
All right. Well, welcome to you. Welcome to everybody. Thursday nights here, Spacecraft, Perpetual Spring Academy, Reiki Circle. Amber will not be with us tonight, obviously, but we're here. So let's open with like a little breath, and then I'm going to say some words. I don't know how you guys feel about the word prayer, but you know, some would call it prayer, some might not call it prayer. Basically, it's just the opening of the sacred circle. You know. So let's take a deep breath in, and then let's release it. Thank you all for being here tonight. As we come into this sacred circle, we are supported by our ancestors, all available ascended masters, divine counsel, our spirit animals, pure angelic beings, spirit guides, any other divine being of love which is present. They are encouraging us to step into a higher spiritual state of consciousness. We ask that the loving energy of Reiki will flow to us, our loved ones, and to protect our homes. We will hold this bond with the intention of love and divine guidance. We feel the power of spiritual energy flowing to our physical, emotional, and mental bodies, and strengthening our connection to the source of all things. We are the end result of our past thinking. To change our future, we must change our present thinking. As to exactly what is negative or positive should not be prime directive. As you learn to listen to that small voice in your heart, you will know. Be it enough to realize that negative thinking shackles you to mediocrity, limits your ability to attainment, strips you of your self-esteem, and robs you of hope. Positive thinking, on the other hand, brings peace of mind, inner direction, accomplishment, new dimensions of hope. It restores self-confidence, and dreams become reality. Bring us laser focus, clear vision, our voice of truth, unconditional love, infinite power, deep connections, and grounding to this wonderful earth. And so it is. Oh shit, so welcome. That was a little bit of a mouthful, but it's setting, just kind of getting us into the mind state of possibility. So, how is everybody here tonight? Everybody?
Wonderful.
Y'all doing great? How's your day?
Pretty good.
Okay, so we're all here with some good energies.
Better than yesterday.
Better than yesterday. That's right. And then you know what you say? You say better than yesterday and not as good as tomorrow. And not as good as tomorrow. Because if you're stuck here in the middle between not so good and better. So always creating a better tomorrow. Very, very powerful thing. What I would like to talk about today is the Kool-Aid Man. Oh, I'm sorry. First off, before I get into the Kool-Aid Man,
I'm not ignoring you. I'm actually just on the
Posting me.
I post on the spacecraft.
Fantastic, yeah. Tag me. Tag Space Spring Academy.
Well,
Tag us all.
I can't tag in the actual story. I don't have the access to that. But what is it called? Because I wrote Infinite Power, because that's all I got to do. Well, no, I got everything else to do, but Infinite Power is the stuff.
Okay.
So I just wrote Infinite Power. I was gonna write Reiki Thursday 7 p.m. donations. Yeah, donation. Is that right?
Donation based.
Yeah,
Love,
donation
love.
based.
Some people say love donations. If you love it, put a little donation.
Just because I have the access to that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah, Noel said last week a lot of people liked it by the time we were even done. So-
there's you guys. You just need a little bit more of that.
You know, it's a weird time. I don't judge anybody for not showing up. You know what I mean? Like it. I mean, I'm super grateful that you all showed up. That you guys showed up.
I've been promising for 2 weeks, and I had things, as Amber says, things come into our lives that we have to take care of, which I don't think is on the fun side. This was a fun side.
Are you familiar with Reiki? Are you familiar with what Reiki is?
I read something. Yeah, I'm familiar with Amber. Kind of.
Okay. How about you, Vaughn Johnny?
Just like familiar
Basically?
with it, like how familiar.
Okay.
I know that, like I said, my roommate, he would pluck my aura, he would put his hands over my body, he would pull that negative energy out, and I guess I don't know if I completely said it right, but I was in 8-day quarantine, and I thought that I had quarantined myself into agoraphobia, and she actually made a comment, and basically, no, we create stagnant energy, and you can stagnate for a phase, so it's not agoraphobia, and it's not depression, just get up, shake your face, and go outside, and you'll be fine. And believe it or not, as soon as I got in my car, you know, I was a little like, whatever, as soon as I hit the street, as soon as I started driving and seeing other people, my entire spirit, my entire being, I felt to be that was safe. So, if that's right here or not, I don't know, but it was definitely working wisdom that definitely helped me. So,
Yeah, that's fantastic. I actually did something similar to that, where today I was in a bit of a funk, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go out and run. And so it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 109 degrees, but I went and ran for a mile. Because psychologically, the idea of progress is linked to just movement forward. That like, on a like neurological scale, just the act of moving forward equates to progress. So if you're in a funk, and you go out and you're like, I don't really want to do anything, but then you actually go and you just do that thing that you didn't want to do, or something that might seem hard to do, you know, or like something you're not looking forward to. Like I wasn't necessarily looking forward to going and running, you know. And I was wearing long sleeve too. Like I was wearing long sleeve pants because I'm kind of a masochist in a way where if I didn't do it in the morning, then I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna suffer. Like I still have my workout clothes and I still didn't on and I didn't go and run. So fucking who cares if it's 3 o'clock and 109 degrees? I gotta go out there and do something. Like, or else the energy is stale. The energy is, because we need movement. That's why exercise is really low key, like super, super powerful to create the flow of energy, to sustain that flow of energy within us. But yeah, so Reiki is as a Reiki practitioner, there's a universal life force that surrounds us, that's within us, because everything is just holographic, holographically generated piece of energy, right? Like everything down to the bottom is molecular atoms that are just energy moving. And then it's just our own perception of reality that shapes what we have. But everything is energy, right? So I take this universal life force, this universal energy, and I only take the pure light, the pure loving energy, and then I conduct it. I'm just a channel. And I focus the intention of that energy onto a circumstance, a situation, a person, animals, any kind of conscious being, even crystals. I can take Reiki energy and I can set the intention of, like for instance, the selenite to be more cleansing. I can set the intention of this auralite to be more healing. I can set the intention of this K2 jasper granite to facilitate more expression of self, right? Because like it's throat chakra, so it's communicating. I can charge up this tourmaline, get it more grounded. Charge up. I do it with the dog too. Sit there and there's certain proper ways because you have to follow the energy lines. And so dogs are different than humans. But I find it to be a magical little path that I'm on with Reiki. And it's completely non-denominational. Has no religious ties necessarily. It's a mode of healing that has been around for thousands of years, and it was rediscovered about 100 years ago by Dr. Usui in Japan. And because somebody asked him one time, they said, "How come you call yourself a healer, but you can't heal like Jesus?" And so he said, "Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna go figure it out." So he went and he sat up on top of Mount Karuma, and he meditated. He had a bunch of stones. Every day he'd move one stone, and he sat there for, I don't exactly remember how many days, but eventually it just came to him. He received the knowledge of how to heal with the hands by being able to just put your hands on it, which is exactly what one of the methods that Jesus used to heal. So I can't take anybody from the dead, but
Yeah.
we can at least relieve some of your stress and help ease you into a more relaxed state. So now you guys want to talk about the Kool-Aid Man? Okay. Is the Kool-Aid Man the pitcher or the liquid? Is the Kool-Aid Man the pitcher or the liquid?
Who's the pitcher?
Or I also, so we have one for the pitcher. I put that on Facebook earlier today, and one of the responses I got was, he's both. He's the sum of all parts.
That's what I was thinking. He's the or is going to be
Well,
Yeah, so
No.
is he?
Well, no, because he is the pitcher, but this is a little sad. When he cracks the glass, that's his internal organs coming out like us. So the pitcher is his exoskeleton, like ours, our skin, and the Kool-Aid is his blood.
Kool-Aid is good. So all physical.
All physical. So, okay.
How about you, brother?
He's the pitcher.
He's the pitcher. My brother says he's the pitcher. Okay. And you feel? You feel all the sum of all parts?
I feel like he's the Kool-Aid man. You know what I'm saying? Like, without the Kool-Aid, he's just a man. You know, like, which is, I guess he's still a man. Like, I'm not, saying he's not a man, I guess, without the Kool-Aid, but he's the Kool-Aid man. He needs the Kool-Aid in order to be a Kool-Aid man. You know, like, so I figure, like, that's just part of his makeup. I don't know if it makes him
Okay.
a thing, like, by himself, but, like, I think he just can't take out one without the other, just be a pitcher, after that,
Yeah. And so what about the idea of when you take this idea of the Kool-Aid Man and you apply it to the chicken and the egg? Which came first, the liquid or the pitcher? Does it change your answer at all? Or is he still the pitcher? Is he still, well, does that change? You know, bringing in that other side of it to think of it as which came first, as far as the analogy of consciousness for the Kool-Aid Man.
It would still be he's a picture. Because I
Still a
feel
picture?
as though the interior Kool-Aid is his actual life force.
The Kool-Aid is his life force.
Yeah, that's like
So-
his blood, organs, brain.
But his
he's
life
a
force
picture.
is not who defines who he is.
No, because the blood is what gives him the ability to live. Where's his brain? His brain would be where his moral compass and his all that other stuff comes from, right? So we're talking about a cartoon character who is then born, but he's born as a pitcher and he's filled with Kool-Aid because the Kool-Aid is what makes him who he is. So without the blood inside my body, I wouldn't be able to be a human being. So without the Kool-Aid, he wouldn't be able to be a pitcher.
Okay. Okay.
You know, like, yes, he is the sum of all parts because we all come from somebody's imagination or the thought of somebody wanting us to be here, as in our parents wanting us as children, or accidents and the universe put you here. But we all, regardless if you're a cartoon character or not, we all come from the stars, dust, and dirt. Like, that's what it is. I just feel that he is a pitcher, and the contents of that pitcher is Kool-Aid, and that's what makes him Kool-Aid.
As the Kool-Aid Man, he is the pitcher.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters what came first, though. You said something about it.
Well, yeah, I was just kind of like thinking about like the
Yeah,
like
like-
the chicken and the egg idea of
Yeah.
of what is the true self. Because to me, I'll just say it. I guess it's the picture is like almost to me. The picture is almost like how we identify ourselves. It's like our identity, how we represent, you know. But that the liquid inside is our soul. That's kind of how I interpret it. That our soul finds this vessel, and then we become the Kool-Aid Man, which is the sum of all our parts, because that is our identity, right? That is our projection to the world as an entity, because nobody sees the fucking Kool-Aid with a smiley face, right? Kool-Aid's not just sitting there with a smiley face. The Kool-Aid's always in the picture, right? They're always together. Okay, so that's kind of my input. What do you think, Derek? What do you think?
Yeah, they're always together.
Always together. So he's no longer the pitcher?
Well, without the Kool-Aid inside of him, then he's just a pitcher. He's not the Kool-Aid. He needs the Kool-Aid inside of him. to be Kool-Aid.
He needs the picture to be. So you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
you
he needs like
you
some
need-
kind of shape.
Like you need both. Like
Right.
I like
But that doesn't take away from his.
picture. Like he's still a picture.
Right.
Like he would be a picture. Like you're a person. Like you would be a vessel.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what comes first. I don't know if the soul comes first. Like the vessel comes. You know, I would assume it doesn't die. It just matter. But I'd imagine that the energy is there first.
Right.
Like, but even though it's energy all around us, like you can't see it, you can interact with it, but like it's not the same as like physically being able to, you know, shake your hand and give you a hug, you know, something like that.
Right.
Like or burst the wall is a big picture of Kool-Aid. Like, but to your point, like you are still the pitcher. Like you know, like so. Like you know.
I'm actually
you
so
know,
glad you brought up the idea of him going through the wall,
Mhm.
because think about if all we are is energy, and everything else is energy, then in theory, we could go right through the motherfucking wall. We could be the Kool-Aid Man. We could bust right through any wall. And how amazing will it be when we start to unlock our psychic abilities and we're able to do things like manipulate elements. Like, I don't know. I'm a big believer in kinesis, like telekinesis, hydrokinesis, pyrokinesis, like the ability to like almost like airbender type stuff where you're like, you can take water out of glass and you can levitate it into a sphere, and like I believe that these are things that we used to be able to know how to do, that they're going to be on.
That was all erased by Colonialism and not their position. But circling back to that whole Kool-Aid man, so now you talked about perception, you talked about he's just a picture without the Kool-Aid. So that picture with the Kool-Aid inside of it, how many people does that Kool-Aid man really know?
How many people does he know?
Yeah, so let's just say that Kool-Aid man lives in a small town, he knows 100 people, right? There's 100 different versions of that Kool-Aid.
Ooh, I'm so glad.
Because everybody else has their own thought process of a person, who that person
Okay.
is. So it's kind of like, are you right, are you wrong? And there you go, because I may perceive the Kool-Aid man as being a fucking asshole, and then over here, Kool-Aid man's your best friend hooking you up. you
Right.
know? So it's always, there's 100 different versions of anybody out there. And that's where the infinite universe and infinite possibilities comes into
Yeah,
play.
the multiverse.
I've always thought that. I've always partly thought like as much as there are parallel like universes and mind states and all that and everything, like I've always thought like they are kind of all running congruently. Like, 'cause if it's all like going at the same rate, like you know what I'm saying, like it has to be kind of like at the same level. Like I can't explain consciousness or how it works really. I don't know how I know why I'm in my body and sitting here. You're sitting here too. We're all sitting here having the same experience. Like, but like we're not having the same experience. So like
Co-creating.
Yes, I don't. So like I don't know how that like works, but I do feel like choices and probabilities are like yeah, like I can sit here like and continue the rest of the thing, or I can get up and leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, there is a version of me that is already left. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know, like, and I'm not that version, like, you know, like, or I am the version I just haven't made a decision yet. You know, like, so I that's how I look at it. Like, you could really kind of like burst in the wall. You can really kind of do anything. Like, it just depends on if that's. I don't necessarily believe. Like, I believe in fate, but I don't believe in like just one fate. Like, you know,
Okay.
like I believe that there are a lot of different fates, and kind of depending on what you choose to do, kind of will guide you towards
That's
fate. You
That's
know?
more destiny than
I feel like when people say like fate or destiny, they always say like they mean it like there's only one outcome for your whole life, and it doesn't matter what choices and decisions you make, that's always going to happen. And I think
What about a
there-
multi-dimensional destiny,
I was
right?
saying, which would be fate, right? Because all roads, no matter what you choose, would lead you to that end result. But destiny is where you make your own decisions and you don't have to end up towards the fate that was chosen for you. They're not the same. They're two totally completely different concepts.
Okay.
So where you're talking about taking different roads to get to that fate, you're then accepting the fact that no matter what, that's the fate that is given to you. There's no way to change it no matter what road I take. So it's kind of, you be careful in associating destiny and fate as being one and the same, because they're not.
Okay.
100%.
That's the first time I've ever heard it explained like this.
Uh-huh.
People, like, yeah. So yeah, well, but I would
No,
attune
yeah.
to destiny. I think there's a lot of different.
Wait, so there's
roads.
one fate, multiple destinies? Is that what you're saying? Like
No,
as a synopsis?
okay, so let me in, so I know this is a religion, not a religious circle or anything, but this is where my belief in stuff comes in.
Absolutely.
That, yes, so we celebrate Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur we celebrate because we then repent for the year for things that we've done, and then God writes and seals our story for the year. Which basically means my fate is sealed for that year no matter what.
Okay.
But the destiny part of that, so God says you've been an asshole last year, this year I'm gonna make your life hell. But if I realize that and I've atoned for that and I fasted and I made peace with God during Yom Kippur, I can then choose my own destiny and not end up in the fate of where my Creator has put me. Meaning
Right.
I can choose to do better things, which will lead me down a different path, not the path of where I'm supposed to go.
Like-
for heartache, for like you said, I didn't go running at 8 in the morning when it's cool, but I saw my gym clothes on. I better put on these jeans and a jacket and make myself suffer. because I didn't do what I should have done, but I still needed it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, like, you know.
I've
so-
never heard of Yom Kippur like that, but described like that. But it's almost kind of like a karmic recalibration, right? So you're kind of just like
You don't go to confessional.
you don't have the
once.
you don't worry about the judgment at the end of your life. You get a judgment every year.
Yes, but the judgment at the end of our life isn't really a judgment. So when we die, there is a technically there really isn't even a Jewish heaven. We believe in reincarnation. So if you are a good soul and you've lived your life proper and you've done great things, you then are reincarnated into another Jewish baby that is being born. However, if you did some things in your life that you need to atone for, and then you weren't the best person, hell isn't brimstone and fire. Hell is not someone shoving pineapples up your ass and poking you with prods. Hell is basically like, I'm sure you've all seen Hercules, the cartoon Disney. So it's like Hades. It's basically that soul of river, that river of souls. It's basically you being put in a washing machine to cleanse your soul until you've actually felt the emotions of the other people you've hurt and experienced that. So when you are ready for reincarnation and you come back to Earth, you will not cause that pain to somebody else again, and you know that. So it's more like when you throw your socks in a washing machine, or you put your socks in hell. No, you're just trying to cleanse them so you can clean them and wear them again, And that's what Jewish hell is. So it's just one of those,
Jewish hell is a washing machine.
and for your soul. But so it's just that's the best example
I like
can
it.
give.
Yeah. I really like how you describe being Jewish.
It's because it's very hard to explain to boys.
It is so difficult for somebody to like, or even somebody who like wants to learn about it. It's like, what does this even mean? Like, what are y'all talking about? Oh, you don't know what we're talking about? What you mean?
And it always boils down. They tried to kill us. We survived. Let's eat.
Let's see.
Literally, that's every holiday.
Tried to kill us.
We
Didn't work.
survived. Let's eat.
Let's see. Okay.
Let's do it. It's interesting. I don't know how I guess I do. I have like I don't know, for lack of a better term, like, I guess like weird, like my stuff is a lot of denominations, like a lot of different stuff.
Right.
Kind of put together,
My brother brought up the term of omnism, which omnism is like the belief that no religion is absolutely correct, but that you can take from each, that there's truth in all of them.
Yeah, that's kind of how
So
I feel.
personally, I've kind of like, so with cooking, I grew up in a multi-ethnic, diverse place, and then like I lived in Los Angeles, which is also multi-ethnic, diverse, and so my view of cooking was kind of like that food is like a melting pot. You can take a mix like with like Roy Choi and the Koji tacos, where he takes Korean barbecue and he puts it in a taco, right? Where it's a fusion of these different aspects, but that is what America is. That's what living in Los Angeles, that's what living in Koreatown is. You're surrounded by Mexican Salvadorians, but then you are Korean. You know what I mean? Like that was his experience. And so in the same way, I look at spirituality in that way. That I can take as, I don't necessarily mean as an American, but the American spirit kind of gave to me, inspired to me the melting pot aspect, where I can pick and choose little bits of culture that resonate with me to create my American experience, my experience in America.
The religious experience.
Well, yeah, I try to use necessarily the word religious, but my spiritual experience,
Yeah, just okay.
but I really just say experience because I apply it to food, I'm very open, and I just feel like I am just like, I am the sum of everything around me, like growing up around Vietnamese people, I love Vietnamese food, and I put Vietnamese food in some of my recipes in little ways that people don't necessarily identify as being Vietnamese because it's not Vietnamese to the T, but it's Vietnamese influence. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with you on that. started from, I know where I am now. So I have all of that still kind of like I'll still invoke the name of Jesus, you know, like, you know, and things like that. And like, even though I don't necessarily consider myself like a 100%
Like you don't necessarily
Christian, like Christian, you know, Christian, like I do this, like, cause my friend, my really close friend, I asked him why I did it. But oh, just acknowledge it. I have to church where something happens, you have that feeling, you just acknowledge it. But do I have to be Catholic to do that? It's like, no, it's not a rule anywhere because you have to. But I just like the thought of like, you know, and I do it most of the time when I don't know why though. Maybe not in ambulance. Like I do it. Like it's like I wonder. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know if the person in there is a good person or a bad person or whatever. But like I'm giving the situation positivity. That's how I look at it. Like that's kind of how I look at. Because I don't even believe in like a hell. Is it cute to me? Like the concept of being like I like the way you explained it because like the washer thing like that and like if that's hell like that's not like what I you know what I'm saying like
No,
hell,
like,
you know like yeah like that's
fire, brimstone.
yeah like you know
torture.
like torture like I don't think that's
It's more of a mental torture for you
yeah I
to
don't
learn.
I think hell is a mind like so I think hell is a mindset I think hell is on earth I think heaven's on earth I think I don't know, like it's a weird thing because I definitely believe in like reincarnation because then you just die, fade or whatever, right? So
energies
it has to come back some kind of way.
not
But
created nor destroyed. It's simply transferred.
and it makes sense to me because we all come from the same source. And then that's just a nice and fancy way of saying we're all the same thing. Like, and that kind of means that we're all the same person, just living different lives right now. And we're all kind of having it. So I kind of look at it like,
Bringing it back to the multidimensional experience, a lot of times we are just kind of mirrors. The people we attract are kind of like mirrors or people or things that are trying to teach us lessons.
yeah, I always get wonder like, man, so you're me if I was a black woman and I danced. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that's how I look at some like
I can help you with that.
like you know you know like you know what I'm saying? Like are you like I would be you if I was Asian and like I grew up here. You know what I'm saying? Like and I had your experience. I might be you, you know, and so like it once I got to that point when I was really young, I kinda had that thought. Like I think that's kinda what life is. I think it's all I think it's we're all like yeah, when we say we're all one, I take that literally. Like I do think we're all one. I think we're kind of all like that energy, that big energy that we all come from. That's one thing. Like it's not different. Like the picture in the Kool-Aid. Like the picture is different. Our pictures are different. Like, but the Kool-Aid is the same. Like you know, it's all comes from the same package. You know, like so we can remember that as much as we can. I feel like it makes it easier to be empathetic and sympathetic. So,
Like we're all just different flavors of Kool-Aid.
it's different very Kool-Aid. We're all coming from the same, but you know, like we're all the same thing. My picture looks different than yours, but like if I was, you know, if I had your experiences,
He's
my
lime
picture might
Kool-Aid,
look-
he's cherry Kool-Aid,
Yeah,
but
you
they're
know,
still both Kool-Aid, man.
You know, like yeah, like you know, it all comes from the same place. So I don't know. I don't know how that translates to like when you die, you come back or whatever. I don't know if that means you just have more to experience or you know, like stuff like that's kind of how I look at it. Feel like maybe all right, you got through that. All right, now I want to make you a fucking refugee in Palestine and do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe like one of my favorite books is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and like they have the thing where like the Earth is just a computer and like it's just trying to figure out an answer. You know, like and that's kind of maybe how I feel like maybe humans are. Maybe we're just here to find an answer, and when we find it, well, you know, like I don't know, maybe you know whatever will ascend or there won't be humans anymore, or it'll be something else or whatever. But like I don't know how that how it translates to how that is supposed to make you live a life, like you know, and whatever. So I have to be here, like, but yeah.
It can be very freeing if you know, it's almost like the Matrix, where once you realize that you're in a simulation, you understand that, man, the whole world's a fucking playground. You can do whatever you want, like literally, like that's where it comes back to also that what I was talking about earlier with like hydrokinesis, telekinesis, pyrokinesis, manipulation of elements. what I've read about it is that you have to learn how to understand that energy isn't separate from you. That you are that energy of fire. You are that pile of water. You are connected, like what you were saying with all of the energy being connected.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting to see if you try out any different mode, and maybe you'd have maybe it's one of your psychic abilities. Maybe one of the elements is one of your abilities.
It's one of those things where
6 months you're fucking throwing fireballs. At people.
like Kabbalah is basically magic Judaism. It's where they have extended to the plane of Judaism where they're now being taught actual old school magic of things, of the universe and the powers.
Sacred
And
geometry of things.
and how things are done.
Yeah, because it's like, if we take back to the simulation idea, that if it is a simulation, that means numbers are in control of everything. And numbers create geometry, and it's all kind of just like a woven together.
Two numbers.
Oh yes, it is definitely, okay, did you know what? Okay, so cutting edge theory on consciousness, I don't even want to get into it. So I'm not gonna. But I gotta say that this conversation has gone fantastic places. I actually have to catch up with the notes because we've already gone into this multidimensional idea, right? So I want to bring up a quote from Alan Watts. Anybody know Alan Watts? Okay. Imagine a multidimensional spider's web in the early morning, covered with dewdrops. And every dewdrop contains the reflection of all other dewdrops. And in each reflected dewdrop, the reflections of all other dewdrops in that reflection. And so ad infinitum. And that is the Buddhist conception of the universe in an image. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of turtles on turtles. Yeah, you've heard of turtles on turtles? Like some people, flat earthers, I think, that they say, oh, as a flat earther, or all of our life is we're all, the whole world is just on a turtle's back. And then, well, what's underneath the turtle? A smaller turtle. Well, what's underneath that? Another turtle.
Yeah.
And so it's just turtles all the way down.
Sorry.
Turtles?
No, that whole theory is triggered.
Oh, those were
Flat earthers triggered.
Oh, okay. Flat
They
earth.
fall around as an ice.
The filament?
What was that?
The
The
filament?
ones that receded.
Are you triggered by the filament?
But it's there.
Yeah.
Trust
No,
me.
I'm triggered by the fact that there are people out there against all of the science.
Okay. But just.
But again, I know we're living in a simulation.
No.
and all that,
Well, hold on.
multi-generation,
If it's
but-
multi-dimensional, then you really need to just. I'm sorry. I don't even tell you what you need to do.
No.
I don't even.
No,
But
we're not, like-
you could look at them as just saying, you know what? They're living in another timeline. They're living in another dimension. They're on a different path.
Yeah.
They're in a different dimension. Okay? I don't even need to worry about them. And if they want to believe that they're in a flat world, same thing can be applied with racists or Republicans or liberals or conservatives or anybody, or people who want to wear masks or don't wear masks. They're on a different timeline than you. And so just let them be.
So
But you know what though?
that time, okay, I'll let you go first.
Okay.
There is fantasy.
See,
You know what I'm saying? Like there.
and seeing the thing
You're like, there is delusion.
Now,
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
now you're saying they're on a different timeline, but
Like, have you ever heard of the
No,
Mandela
no,
effect?
I
Like
feel
the
like
Mandela
we're-
effect?
I feel like we're like almost saying the same thing. Like go ahead.
it's just like
Okay,
No.
while you think about that,
No,
think about
it's-
when you were talking about how, like, when you agree on things, you create an experience, right? You're like, I don't know how this all
Sure,
works,
right.
but you're like, like we both believe in the moon, so we both see the moon. You know, if you don't, it's like, and we like the collective consciousness creates our reality,
But
right?
that's it. But you have to be able to see the moon, like in order for us to have that.
Somebody
Like,
had to
it's
see the
like
moon. Hold on,
it's like
somebody
the-
had to see the moon.
No, we have to see the moon. Like, cause,
No.
'cause
We
you
were
know,
told
like-
the moon exists.
But that's not enough people, because if you think about the allegory of the cave,
Everyone.
you think about the allegory of the cave,
Ooh, I love it.
there are people stuck in the cave. Like,
Everybody know Everybody know the cave?
No,
Okay,
Pluto's
so
cave? Or
you want
Plato's cave?
to explain it, or?
That somebody's inside the cave,
Mhm.
and then there's another person behind them with a fire, and is just projecting images. And the person who's deep inside the cave is just like, okay, well, this is my whole reality. This is what I see,
Right.
And then the person behind there is like, hey, ha ha ha. But they're still inside the cave. And then there's a whole other layer where it's like everything is open. It's the whole reality of experience.
And so say you and me are in the cave. When all three of us are in the cave, right? So me and Vaughn get left behind, but you somehow get out of the cave. Like you go out and you can see like the animals, the greenery, and like, oh crap, there's a whole other world outside of this cave. Like this isn't the truth. Like what we've been looking at, you come back and tell us, we're not gonna believe you. Because all we know is the cave.
Is the projection.
We have to go back to the moon thing. Until we see it with you, it's not a shared memory. It's not a shared thing. Like you can tell me till you're blue in the face, like, but I don't have the point of reference to even understand what you're talking about.
Right.
So now I don't know how this circles back to people thinking living that the Earth is flat.
So it does because
Yes.
Because the more energy you give to that theory, the more stronger it gets, the more that you have power on that timeline. But if you don't even acknowledge it, then potentially you can live in a world without flat earthers.
I just see flat earthers as scientists who fell through the cracks. Is what I see.
Scientists on crack or fell through the cracks?
Scientists who fell through the cracks because they are doing their own investigation. They are doing their own scientific experiments. They are trying to prove these things.
Yeah.
So the scientific community is chastising them. Me, myself, I'm also chastising them. But maybe there needs to be a different approach because if they are spending this much time and energy on their timeline of a flat Earth, when the majority of everybody else's timeline is around Earth, and flat Earthers, how come every other planet is round except for Earth?
like I said,
That's
fantasy.
And so that's what I'm saying. I just feel like they're failed scientists. I feel like they fell through the cracks of an educational system. And this is where I get upset about flat earthers and why I'm getting triggered on those things, is because once they believe that one fantasy, once where they believe that one thing is so true because they've done so much research and they've done so many of people are backing up on it, then the next thing is easier to believe, which is even more outlandish, which then causes more, I don't want to use the word idiocy, but idiocy and less education, which then allows people of our oppressors and people of power to then divide and conquer. Plain and simple. It's just, I think we need to take a different approach, not ignore the flat earther, but talk to the flat earther and see why they think the Earth's flat Earth, and maybe have that general conversation with them and be like, you know what? Here's the science backing mine. Here's the science backing yours. My science is backed by thousands of scientists worldwide, and yours is done by a man in Oregon on YouTube. Really think about what's going on. You know, he's not a whistleblower. He didn't run to Moscow like Snowden, so obviously it's not a government secret. So it's just one of those things. It's just
planes and satellites, and you can literally just get in the plane
and
and
everything-
just fly until you just
everything
fly.
has
Just fly
to
till you
go
get it.
on the
Again,
horizon. That's all it is. It's just,
you know,
Right, yeah.
But those same people are also the same people who are creationists. The Earth was created 6,000 years ago, but yet they're fucking putting petrol in the car that's like millions of years old.
Yeah.
So,
You think so? You think that a lot of flat earthers are creationists?
I believe, yes.
I like
think
that
a
you
lot
use
of-
that word.
Yes.
I believe that we are all creative. Even, and the word creative and creator has now meant to be like more in the art realm and everything, and we don't really look at everything as creation. Like someone had to make that thing. You know, like we don't think about that as creation. We think about it as like, you know, we've been conditioned like Ford line, and like it's a computer, or like no, Mike probably built that by hand, and you know, or at least assembled it by, you know, whatever. So
That whole garden by hand.
yeah, you know, whole garden, right?
creative.
Yeah. So everything, you know, like even us, you know. So, but in us being creators, I think there are people who want to create their own fantasy. You know, like we all have our own fantasy, every day. But the difference between fantasy and truth is that you can, like, so you can go look at the moon, like, you know, like it's right there. Now, if the shit is a projector, blah 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 blah, and all that, I don't know about all that. Like, all I know is I can walk out right now and I can see that bitch, you know, like, so, and that's good enough for me until further notice, like, you know, like, so, but there is this fine line because you do need to be delusional in a certain sense in order to get certain things done. Like, some things won't be true until you make them true. So I understand that. Like, I understand that some things weren't true until they became true. You know, like, so even if gravity has always been around, it wasn't gravity until we discovered it. You know, like, so yeah, you know, like, so I understand that. Like, but I think some people just get lost in their own they get lost in their own fantasy, where it's like the Earth is flat, and they want to believe it so bad that any type of proof and everything. That's why I don't believe you can really enlighten people. Like, they have to enlighten themselves. Like, you can give them the information, like you said, you can give them, talk to them and all that, but at the end of that conversation, he goes on. Then you have to go. Then that's where you come in, where like, okay, you have to let them ignore it and let them live their own little, timeline. You know, like their little fantasy. There ain't nothing you could like.
I log on to Facebook and I'm like, I see all these people fucking arguing all day long about all kinds of bullshit, and I'm just like, I want to talk about it, but then I'm just like, nah, I'm just gonna let all of them just live their own life. I'm gonna stay to myself. I'm gonna believe what I believe. I'm gonna do what resonates with me. And I don't have to give anybody my opinion anyway. Like, and I feel like I'm just gonna put what I want to say out there, and if they resonate with it, they'll talk to me. If they want to argue with me, they'll talk to me. If I choose to respond to that, I might respond. I might try to persuade them. I might try to give them some of my truth, or I might just say, okay, well, maybe we can't talk so much. Maybe I should put you on mute for me.
Yeah.
You know,
That's how I am. I have like a.
I'm not ignoring you on this social media side.
Oh, this,
I am as well.
I appreciate it. I think. Okay, so like yesterday, right? Like, I've been vegetarian now for 11 days.
Okay, cool.
11
Fantastic.
days, yeah.
Congratulations.
I feel good. Like, I feel like healthy. I don't feel like sluggish or weak or anything. Like, my friend came over, like, just like to get one of my cameras, get her camera, whatever. I hadn't seen her in a little bit, and like, I've been working out, doing yoga and everything, so like I've slimmed up like already in like 11 days. Like, I'm like, I can already see it. Like, it's like, dang, like I can really see it, like. So she saw me, she's like, oh my god, I never. Are you okay? Are you like? I was like, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. Like, yeah, you're like frail. And I was like, frail. Like, I feel like the strongest I felt in like probably years. Like, just over a couple of days. Like, I feel like I don't feel tired. But like, and like, I kind of like let myself get and like feel it too much. Like, I know she didn't mean it like that. Like, she wasn't trying to hurt my feelings like that. Not that my feelings weren't necessarily hurt. Like, I just realized that like a lot of this is just how you take it. Like, that's kind of our relationship anyway. We're very playful. I've known her forever. Like, so for us to just kind of throw a jab out there at each other like ain't nothing. Like, so even if that's what she was doing, like I know she's not like, and it had me like really sitting there like contemplating things that like didn't really need to be contemplated. Like thinking about things like that didn't need to be like don't even take it there. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people is that we allow our mindsets and our visions to like take us places sometimes that they don't need to take us necessarily. Like not everything is like a slight against you. Like not everybody's trying to hurt your feelings or make you feel good or anything. But most people are just walking around living, man. Like they're not trying.
Just trying to get by.
Yeah, and like I had that thought. Like, man, I should talk to her about it. Like, how would I talk? Why would I talk to her about that? Like that. Like one of my favorite quotes is, even though it wouldn't be a full argument like that, but like never argue with the fool because people far away can't tell like, it doesn't matter, like back to the flat earther thing, like, yeah, I get, like, you give them all the information, but if you're sitting there, like, trying to really get them to understand, like, now you look like a fool. Like, because you're doing something foolish. Like, you're trying to get someone who's not there with you on that timeline you're talking about to speak up with you. Like, that's foolish. Like, so it would have been foolish of me to come at her on something that wasn't even the timeline that she was in. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so.
Yeah, my mother she hasn't talked to her cousin in probably almost 15, 20 years because she got offended by the way that she RSVP'd to a Thanksgiving dinner fucking 20 years ago or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like there's one person totally just living their life and they just kind of did some, maybe they didn't RSVP in time. They were late to RSVP.
Yeah.
But my mom's just like, oh, that bitch, she did it on purpose. She doesn't like me. She's gonna, she wants to separate the family and it's like, damn, like people, like it's so crazy to see how sometimes, like that dynamic. It brings us back to what he was saying about 100 people, and you only know 100 people. You got 100 different versions of yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like right there, you got two separate timelines going on.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like because you started to break away from the timeline that she was on, because you started going off in this whole other direction.
Yeah.
And then it's like you could have brought it in with something else, and it's like.
So what I did was instead of focusing on her, I went, well, why do I feel like that? Like, what is inside of me right now that is making me?
That's it right there. I think that's
it's just insecurities and like anybody, like you just like damn, like stand in the mirror like what the fuck, like like you start doing that game with yourself. You put yourself in that timeline, like because someone can say I can look like I have this thing where like I'll tell somebody they look great and they'll be like they don't want to accept it. Or you
yeah,
like
a lot of people have a
compliments are harder to accept for people than like I accepted that even though she didn't mean like that, I accepted it so fast. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if I would have accepted a compliment as fast. Like I don't know if I would have. Like most people's thing is to like sort of deflect. They're like, oh, that's a nice pair of shoes. Oh, like it comes off like you're trying to be like humble, but really it's like you can't accept the compliment. Like you can't get like yesterday, you on my shoes, you called me like on the Adidas, like you were like, oh, you're like, I was like, they're nice. Like you're like, oh, those are nice shoes.
Yeah, it's something I had to learn how to be comfortable with.
Yeah,
like after losing all that weight, it's like people would be like, oh man, you look really good. I'd be like, okay, right, whatever. At first it was just like, right, whatever. You're just saying that because you know me and you're being nice.
Yeah.
And then it started being like, okay, maybe I'm kind of like accepting it, and then it kind of got to this part where it's like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then it's just like I accept that.
Yeah.
Not like, oh yeah, maybe I look good. Maybe there's a nice shirt. Yeah, this shirt fits me nice.
Yeah.
But it's like there's like levels to accepting compliments. That, it's really strange. It's like even people who receive a lot of compliments sometimes can't even accept it.
I know.
And
So
it's interesting. Like there's a lot of, I don't want to say any type of gender specific type of person, but there are some type of people that have less going on the inside because they don't have that self-esteem, but they're constantly getting compliments. Like sometimes really attractive people, sometimes they don't know, they don't even understand how to process the compliment.
it's interesting because if you again, it's just another form of projection. Instagram is just a form of projection. A lot of it. But looking with Instagram, everyone looks great on Instagram.
Yeah.
Everybody looks great. Yeah, everybody looks great. But then when you like try to compliment somebody, like they don't. When you look at your Instagram, like you would think that people have confidence and are like, you look great in that shot. Like, look at your body, like look at you, like you're showing your legs, showing your figure, you look great. But then when you compliment, when you actually take it out of that acceptable form, I can put it in my pocket and I don't have to worry about it. Like I don't know what it does to people when you guys just tell them or you just give them a genuine like, man, you look great, like you look good without makeup. Like, no,
Yeah.
You know, like, but they're not on that timeline. They're on a whole different, like, I need, like, the earth is flat is, I need you.
Mm-hmm.
They believe it as their, like, don't get me wrong, some motherfuckers do need makeup. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like, I get, you know, I get it. Like, but if I'm talking to you and I tell you that you don't, like, you know, I'm not, you know, like you said, like, we don't know how to take, especially when we don't feel it ourselves, you know, like, so. Yeah.
You figure it out?
No, I would say not only like are compliments hard for people to accept. One is because, and this is coming from my ex, I was raised with unconditional love. No matter what I did, no matter who I was, no matter what I wanted to do, I was always supported, loved, and I was given the opportunity to do what I wanted if we had the money, time, and I was able to do it. My ex, who I was with for 4 years, married for 2, doesn't believe in unconditional love. And he believes that behind every action there is a motive because there's something that somebody wants from somebody. And I try to explain to him that the only thing I want from him is unconditional love back. But unconditional love to him doesn't exist yet. And it's hard to have that conversation with people, especially people who either have been abused as a child, have been abused in relationships, and their self-worth or their self-esteem has been battered by someone else. And it's hard to help them. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. And when it comes to maybe leading somebody right in a more lifelike kind of way, you know, elementary school talk.
Yeah.
You know, you do your best to help pick up their shattered heart, but in the end, you're left with your hands infected, shattered and bruised, and they moved on. So you've now taken on their pain and you have that impact. So it's just, there's that line you kind of have to really pay attention. See.
It's so interesting you guys are together like that. It's literally two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
And I find myself in probably somewhere in the middle of you two. Like, I believe in unconditional love. I have it from my mom and brother.
Yeah.
And I have been lucky enough, I believe, to where I have felt it for like people I was interested or entertained. I think it is rare, super rare. I think I agree with him that I think most people, that's my problem with people too. Like I have a real issue, I think my last hanging out, and I have a real issue with motives.
You feel like there's a motive.
Yeah, like I don't know if I can, like, you know, it gives me anxiety. I don't know if I can trust your motive. I don't know, like you're being nice and I appreciate it and I love it. Don't know why you're being nice to me right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want? Like, you know, like it's a mind exercise to like break that, like, you know. But then also sometimes I feel like sometimes you need that, you know, like, you know, you need to question why someone is around you. You know, like.
Yeah.
Like, so it is a balancing act. I don't think I have people in my life who I undeniably love. As far as like a significant other, meeting a woman, I don't believe I have that in my life at this juncture. But I can't think of any woman in my life who I would feel comfortable loving unconditionally. Right? You know.
And you're talking about related and unrelated, or?
Unrelated, like, you know, I have my mom, my brother.
Oh, yeah, I just didn't
You
know.
like,
I just didn't know if you had.
but as far as like, you know, significant other, like, you know,
Okay.
like girlfriend or anything like
Yeah.
that, like I don't think I've met her. You know, I don't think I've.
Have you ever had? But you've
I felt it
experience
before,
in the
yeah. I
past.
felt it
You just
before.
don't have it currently.
No,
Oh,
I felt it
what the fuck
before.
you got currently? I mean, shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt it before. Like,
Shit, it's a real lonely time out here, brother.
You know, and I'm not like, you know, I'm not like trying to like rush into it or, you know, but like.
When you rush into stuff, you rush out.
Exactly, and I want to be, and now that I know, and have been blessed enough to know what it feels like to like really love someone unconditionally, like not who's outside of my family to where it's like, it really is a choice. Like that's why I know it's real because it's a choice. I chose to love her that way. Like like to where it's like fuck, there's really nothing you can fucking tell me to make me not love you. Like like
and then you get your commitment.
yeah, and it's such a powerful
Yeah.
feeling where it's like fuck. Now I understand what they say like love people like God loves people. Like I understand what that means now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like God has to love us enough to where He has to forgive all the foul, fucked up shit we do. You know, like you know what I'm saying? Like unconditional. Like damn, I feel that now. Like
Yeah.
I understand now how you would do certain things for someone. Because you have that for them. Like you do anything for them. Like, I feel that. Like how powerful and how dangerous that is. Like I feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I feel it. I understand it now. So now it's once you have it, once you have something you don't have it, you're aware that you don't have it. I'm aware that like I don't feel comfortable or and maybe it'll come later. Like I don't know if any of the women in my life are that or I'll have it later. Like I just know as of right now I don't have it.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Do you believe that everybody only gets one true love?
No, I think there's too many of us. And I think we all come from the same source. So I think there are different things to love about everybody, and I think depending on who you're around, it's gonna bring that out of you. Like there are some people like who I just show, like and we just even if I don't like. I feel like I just like when we were talking tonight, I feel like I just chilled. Like I even told Amber, like I feel like I was talking to my brother, like like someone I've known like a long time, like there's some people like that. There's some people you just don't gel with. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. You're a bad person. Just y'all, projections don't. Y'all two Kool-Aids that don't mix.
It's a
you know what I'm saying?
vibrational
Like,
alignment.
yeah.
It's
You
vibrational
can
alignment.
ask this one. There are people I just don't like and I can't explain it.
Yeah, like and that's fun. Like I don't. This might be getting off topic a little bit, but I don't necessarily believe that it's like I don't know how to say this without it sounding weird, but like I don't feel like you should have like don't take away rights, don't make special rules for people, don't exclude people because we're all the same, we all deserve the same. But you don't have to love me. I don't need you to like me. Like I don't need you to agree with me. I just need you to give me enough space to where you're like I have the same rights.
Respect.
Like, yeah, exactly. Right. He didn't have to respect me. Like, but my rights are undeniable.
To respect yourself.
Yeah,
Like I'm just saying, like as if you have like as if all of that was contained inside of your personal space bubble. I gotta just stay and just respect your personal space bubble.
Yeah.
Like you have, like we all have a certain amount of entitlement to that.
Yeah,
A little
you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I don't.
Like a lot of people believe that respect should be earned. Like
I believe that.
older people, like for instance, they're like, I'm not going to give you respect unless you give me respect. It has to be earned.
And I'm like-
But then, like I used to work with this guy who he was this Sutrese MS-13 like cholo type fellow, and he used to say, you know what? I give respect to everybody, even my enemy, because respect is the base. Now, if you do something wrong, I ain't gonna fuck with you.
Exactly.
But I still respect you. I respect that about you. I respect that, but I ain't gonna fuck with you.
It's funny you say that because growing up, two things I was taught. A man is only as good as his work, and respect is given and not earned. Because you give respect to somebody that you meet, whether they're elder, your peer, or younger, until that respect is taken away because of the actions that they've done.
Yes.
Right.
Respect is given until you have proven yourself that you do not deserve my respect.
Right.
I'll be cordial with you, but you don't deserve my respect anymore, and I don't respect you as a person, a human being, or a part of society anymore because of the shit that you've done. Regardless of whatever it is, they may have done something that you don't see, that I see, wrong, but I was always taught respect is given until there's a reason that you lose it. Trust is the one thing that is.
Right. There you go.
That's
I like that.
Difference between
I like
trust and
that.
respect.
Yes, I like that one.
It's
The fine lines of semantics are,
Yeah.
are a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's when it comes down to the intentionality of your words. You know, words are so powerful because it's like you choose your words with the intention, and it can totally be a difference between trust and respect.
Yeah.
I love that.
I totally agree.
I love it.
Totally agree. I think respect is like love. I don't think you can earn love. I don't think there's anything you can do to make someone love you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a decision. Like people decide to love. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a like.
How
even
many
parents-
children have been sitting there trying to earn their parents' love?
Yeah, it's the worst because you would think like again like unconditional love like it's not a. I mean,
That
yeah,
sets so
I
many
think you can
traumas
find-
in place.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think it's easier to find that kind of love like with your parent usually, but there are still people who unfortunately don't have it or there are some
It's-
there
they're
are some
limited by
kids
their
who don't love
capacity
their
of
parents,
understanding.
but, you know, but their parents love them and like but they like
Yeah,
it's
but parents
it's a
are always
weird-
limited by their capacity of understanding
Yeah, yeah.
from what they were taught.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's kind of like that's where the generational type thing goes, and where right now we have this beautiful opportunity to go back and right our generational wrongs. Like, for instance, my grandfather was an alcoholic, and he taught my parent certain poor ways to interpret love. And so my parent projected that image of love onto me based on their limited understanding of love, right? And it's not that my parent doesn't love me, it's just my parent doesn't have this unconditional sense like John's mother, right? John's mother has unconditional love that nothing you could ever do is going to affect it. But the child of an alcoholic or child of an addict, child of an abuser,
different tools
generally
yeah.
feels like love is conditional because that's what they grew up with. They grew up with, are you being a good boy? Okay, you're good. I'm gonna love you today. You're being a bad boy? Fucking get out of here.
My cousin,
You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, my cousins lived in a county like that where my uncle was an abuser.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where the house was his castle, and in the living room, television was on the blind, so it wasn't on the wall. It was basically, they covered the fireplace, they put it there with old big screen TVs. And his lazy boy sat here in front of the television, and the couch went this way, and everybody in the family had to sit on the couch and turn their neck to watch television. So to watch television in the living room, they would have a kink in their neck, their necks would be hard, they weren't allowed to lay down on the couch to watch it. We weren't, he was very much controlling of their lives and who they were. And God forbid they got to be on the report card, I didn't get to see my cousin Shiloh for months. So, it's weird because they both were raised by my grandparents, and it's just nature versus nurture. But then nature sometimes just takes over, no matter how much you're nurtured, how much you're taught, because some people just want absolute power.
I posted on Instagram. I was watching a Spike Lee's last movie called The Five Bloods. It's about these old retired Vietnam vets who go back to Vietnam to get their fallen brothers. Like, and with some other, it's a lot. It's more than that. I don't want to hear what I don't. But like basically, while they're there, they meet these people whose job it is to go and remove all of the landmines that we left behind back in Vietnam. Because there's still an untold amount of landmines just around Vietnam, like so. And it's an industry out there, like to go and remove them. Like they have jobs and go to school. Like that's how many bombs we planted. You know what I'm saying? Like so. And as I was watching the movie, I was struck about how close that idea of a landmine to me is to like generational trauma. Like I feel like you're just going along your life one day, you're strolling, everything's fine, and then you just hear a click one day, and like, oh fuck, like you know what I'm saying? explosion. It's like a mess that you didn't know that was buried in your lineage. Like, you know what I'm saying? Buried in your DNA. Like, I didn't know my fucking grandpa was an alcoholic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know I had this gene, even now I have it. You know, like I didn't know that my grandma was abused. You know what I'm saying? And she abused my mom, and now I have. And my mom didn't abuse me, but I still have that trauma within me. You know, I'm still. So that's why I don't trust people. Like, you know, like you don't know this. Yeah, you don't know this stuff. Like as you're strolling along until it explodes on you, and now you have this whole new issue that you didn't have.
And you have to unlearn things.
Yeah, like that's me and my touch issues. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to unlearn things, you know, that were.
And then you pair that with your actual soul, which has other types of lessons that it has learned. Like maybe your soul maybe lived a different lifetime as a murderer, or as a woman, or as a rapist, or as a fucking pope. Like, you know, like your soul could have lived these other lifetimes to learn these lessons that currently give you the strength to overcome whatever you're facing today.
Being a black man in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing I can point out.
Yeah.
But,
Only thing I can think of would work if I was a black gay woman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the only thing I can think of. Like a black gay transsexual. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the only thing I can really think of.
that's the thing that actually
you know.
pissed me off the most when I went to the SCU Black Lives Matter March, when they were talking about it and they were on the microphone and they were all, you know, George Floyd, say his name. They were talking about all these people, and then when he said, nobody in the crowd can name one black trans person that was murdered, and I can name 6. And the white guy standing there with an ally sign, the big Star of David that says BLM, ally at the bottom, is shouting about black trans lives. But yet, this pastor, this man who wants to be elected into office, has no idea about the black trans people who have been murdered. He doesn't deserve to be in office. Plain and simple. We need to hold our elected officials accountable. We need to hold the people that are running for office accountable. And I made them, and literally, I was the only person who screamed the name, and then they would say, you know, say their name. Nobody said their name afterwards. And so I made sure to scream it again so the whole crowd of people could say their name, because there's still that stigma within the black community against trans people. Black trans women are has the highest murder rate, highest homeless rate, highest poverty rate. It shouldn't be that way at all. And
Now the way we filter the culture and the lingo becomes all lingo, and then all of a sudden it's sister and girlfriend and queen and where do you think all that came from? You know what I'm saying? Like where do you, like, you know, the way people do their hair, the way people like trans women, you know what I'm saying? Like out here, like, you know, black women, like trans women, you know, like
how did we get to the moon? A fucking black woman did all that fucking mathematics. Like, but do we ever celebrate her during Black History Month in February? No. It's just the map. Even the map that we've been taught in school is fucking wrong. Iceland is 3 times the size it is shown on the map, when South America is literally shrunk to this, considering South America is 5 times bigger than America. And now that's how they teach racism and oppression in school, because people see, oh, that's a small country, they don't matter, it doesn't.
I look at America big, like,
Yeah.
you know, we're, you know,
and
like,
that's where it's
the
the
whole fucking world is America, yeah, like,
you know, and so it's just, there's so much to change and there's so much that needs to be done. But the thing is, and I posted this yesterday because I'm running a campaign for
I actually saw that, speaking of this, like the portion size on the map, I actually saw that like half the world could fit in Africa.
yeah,
Yes.
You know, and that they only make it look like it's so fucking small
Yeah. Mhm.
because they want to minimize the you know.
Greenland,
Yeah.
no, Iceland can fit into South America like 53 times, but they literally show huge this little thing.
yeah.
It's basically to teach racism from a young age, because then, oh, we're Americans, oh, we got this much land, oh, we got this, like,
Number one, it's like,
exactly.
I am all for, I mean, like, I'm not all for, I won't leave this country, but I am all for loving your country, loving America. I don't hate America. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't hate America. I hate the systems that we live under. But I know that those systems are very, 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 very old. They're set in stone. And we're going to have to break the stone. And get rid of the stone and sweep it away and bring in a whole new stone for us to even get to the part where we want to get to. I don't think the system is going to be changed from the inside. I don't think there's a way.
Right.
I don't think there's a way to get elected. It's too big. Not to. I keep saying your tattoo. I love your tattoo. That I'm gonna use imagery. The octopus. We keep trying to cut off one arm. Bitch, there's 7 of them motherfuckers on there. Or how many fucking? You know what I'm saying?
This is actually World War I anti-American propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what it represents is that France, Mussolini, would not allow America into Europe so that our arms could then colonize and take over Europe. And this was basically why he has the money signed in his eyes, because France and Europe is not going to pay America to colonize the Europes. Plain and simple, because they saw what was coming with Israel, they saw what was coming with everything else.
Yeah.
And Mussolini's not the greatest person in the world, but
None of them are.
but
You know what I'm saying?
he had the foresight to see what America was really doing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, just like our president is doing now, he's blaming immigrants on the problems for the country instead of taking responsibility for himself. And that's where we're at. And the problem is for me, the hashtag Never Again Is Now means so much to me, because they're taking these children and they're putting them in cages. There's losing them, disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is now 10 cities along the border of Tijuana and some ports of entry through Texas, because they're not allowing them into the States while they're waiting for their asylum. And now they have to live in poverty, and there's doctors. There are people that are here to actually contribute to our country, and they're not allowing them in because they treat them all as if they're criminals or criminals. And it's going to cause more of a problem than a solution. They've been talking about immigration since the fucking 60s.
Yeah.
They've been talking about Medicare for all since the 60s. I'm sorry, but it's what? 2020? So we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, 2020. That is 60 fucking years they have discussed this and nothing has changed. It is done and over with, and the time now, peaceful. I understand where you're getting from, but I'm doing shock and awe where you're at. Because what it is we have to be able to hold these elected officials accountable. And I know how you say you can't change from the inside. It starts at the local level.
No, I believe that, but I don't think you could elect. I guess you would have to elect.
It would take a lot of time.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I don't think you can elect this problem away. I don't think you can vote it away. I don't think.
When is it turned on?
When it's turned on.
It just has to.
Oh.
You have to bring in a whole new. We have to talk about whole new structures and systems for us to live. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know I've only lived in a world with police. I don't know what a world with police looks like. I don't think we should have police. I don't think we should have jails. But I don't know what a world will look like without jails. I'm still in the cave that way.
We shouldn't have jails. We should have prisons. We shouldn't have for-profit jails, and we shouldn't have for-profit prisons.
I don't know how to. I don't have all of it behind me.
No.
And everything, but the journey I've been walking, I don't think we should have prisons at all. I don't know what we. I don't know what we do.
But you know why there's prisons now and why it's privatized? Because they got rid of all the medical and hospitals, and that's where it was. So these people that are in jail, it's basically a mental institution for them.
Exactly.
These people aren't getting the help they need. In private sector, people are getting paid for the sick and mentally ill. That's what the issue is.
Exactly.
We need to end the industrial military complex. We need to end for-profit prisons. We need to end for-profit jails. And white-collar criminals should not be living in federal penitentiaries where they get television and everything else. They should be thrown in general pop just like everybody fucking else and let them learn their lesson. Because those people are the ones who basically made the other people have to commit the crimes to live their lives. Let it play out.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know what you do with like a Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know what you do with like a Charles Manson. Like, you know, like when you think of prison, you think of like,
No, they should be put to death.
you know what I'm saying? Like, or even, you know, like I don't.
Here's my this
You
is
know,
the sad
like-
part. Like, I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but if you've taken somebody else's life and you did that out of rage, you did that out of murder because you were trying to get into their house and steal their money, and senseless acts of violence that end up in death, you should be put to death because it costs taxpayers money to put you in prison to hold everything up. You know how much it costs to keep a prisoner?
It costs more than it did for me to be a student.
It's over $130,000. It's over $130,000 a year. A year per person, and that's because it's going to a private.
Yeah, that's why it's impossible to
Industry.
move distance.
Yeah.
And cops, police officers are really peace officers. They're there to keep the peace. Meaning, defund the police doesn't mean we're not going to have a police force. Defund the police means basically there's going to be more money for social and mental health services, drug addiction centers and drug counseling. There's going to be more money for halfway homes and homeless shelters. It's going to fix the society that we need instead of spending all this money on.
Oh,
military
you're saying they don't need
complex
$800 million for new jets?
Oh, well, I want to.
Are you saying we don't need-
I want to see. I want to see Metro go ahead and buy F-15 to go chase some money. I'm just saying that the money needs to be allocated somewhere
Yeah.
else. And not only
Those
that,
services.
when I fill out my W-4,
Yeah, I was
I
just-
should be able to elect where my money taxes
I
go.
believe that. I believe that too.
I'm transparent. They
Yeah,
say
better more
they-
transparency
they
on
say-
where the money goes.
They say
Yeah.
they're transparent, but they're not.
I mean, they are transparent. They're like,
No,
yeah.
they're not. There's two
well,
books.
well,
They
I
have
just
the
I just
federal-
meant like transparency is in like, yeah. Hey, guess what? We're gonna spend $1 billion on this war. It's like that's not transparency. I didn't want to go to the war.
Yeah, you're not even
You know what I mean? Like that's what I that's what I meant by
about
transparency. Like they have like a certain like just like where they say that evil people have to admit to what they're doing before they do it, or as you know, like as they're doing it. Like there's some kind of code about evil that they have to admit to it and they have to make it public. And
it makes me really like I know there's so like I know my life is so far removed from like real like tragedy and horror. Like I always feel like yeah, like most shit I talk about America. I'm very lucky to have been born here. Like you know what I'm saying? I could have been born in a place one that America is fucking over. Like you know, just
Anywhere,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I could have, you know, like I could have been.
Yeah, like,
some
if you were born in
Orange village, like,
Iraq, you might be
genocided.
fucking-
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like so, like I like so I always do take things with like a grain of salt. Cause like yeah, like I am speaking from a place of privilege, even though I'm a black man in America. I do have privileges that other places don't have, other people don't have, even as a black man. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I'm in a better position, quote unquote, here than I would be in parts of Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though not all of Africa is quote unquote shithole. Like you know what I'm saying? Like there are parts of Africa that look better than parts of America. You know, like so, and vice versa. You know, like so, like I do understand that there are just people out there who just are just not conducive to being around other people. You know what I'm saying? Like who just like your wiring is messed up to me. You don't understand what it is to have empathy or sympathy. You don't feel that shit. And that alone doesn't make you a bad or evil person, but just like there are some people who lack that shit and just who do the worst stuff. Like, you know, like when you hear about like I remember when I first remember what Dark Web was and like which I never went and looked, but like just shit that was going on there, like shit you could go watch. Like, you can go watch like somebody go kill someone else. Like why would you watch that? Like what could you pay for it? You will pay for it? Like Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you can watch the most, like the most horrible thing you can think of. It's probably out there being done, and it's like that's a mind fuck. Like, and you have to build. If I understand, you have to build your world for both. You have to build your world for like the nice, all the energy world, and like you have to build it for that. But there also is this other side that is there, that is true, and it's horrific, and there has to be some kind of way to deal with that. Like,
It's one of those.
Yeah.
If you don't shape your world,
someone else will. Yeah. You're true about that. So when you said about death penalty, I'm like, yeah, like there's like a certain like cringe, like there's a part of me that feels like you should, like no one has the right to take the life of someone else, but if this person is a clear and present danger to everyone else. Like if there's a guy out there who's like, my mission in life is to push the button. I want all this shit done. Right? And that's his mission, like, and no matter what you say or whatever, no matter how long it takes, it can take 30, 40, 50 years for this motherfucker to do this shit. His intention is I'm gonna find some way to get in that room, I'm gonna take the football clothes, I'm gonna hit that bitch, we're all, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what you do with that. Like, yeah, I guess,
You remember?
you know what I'm saying? What do you do with that guy? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just lock him away and just hope he never gets out? Or, like, I don't want to tangent, but like, Batman, right?
I was just gonna bring up Batman.
Thank you.
Joker?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I got you. The
Yeah.
energy, baby.
Yeah.
Batman, right? So, okay. The Joker has killed so many people at this point. Like, so many people. At what point is it Batman's fault? Because Batman can stop him.
He could have killed him. He could have killed
He
him.
could have killed him, and all he would not have died. But because of your own moral code, you feel like it's okay, or not okay, but I mean, you justify that he's running around doing all this stuff because, well, that's his decision, but I don't have to. No, like, I feel like you're part of the problem now because all you're doing is beating him up and taking him to a place you know he's gonna escape from. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
But it is a selfish satisfaction of having someone to play with.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, to me, it's like, I don't know, like, yeah, while it does sound right morally, and it does seem like the right sense to take, I can't say that I disagree with you. Like, why? Because, what do you do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do when the Joker won't stop?
No, and the thing is, these people have been charged with crimes, and but the thing is, which is scary, and I'll admit that, is people spent 40 years in prison and have been exonerated because of DNA evidence, because racial profiling, systemic racism. They just wanted to put people in jail for crimes, and unfortunately, black people are the ones to do it. Now, moving back over to superheroes and comics, I think Lex Luthor is the hero.
And Superman?
Yes, think about it.
Okay.
I'm
just
thinking about it. It's
Hold
like-
on. Before you get into that, I was actually, when you brought up Batman and Joker, I was actually thinking about when Bruce was talking to Alfred, and he says, and Alfred's talking about the story of the guy who would go in and rob all the jewels.
Oh.
And then they found the guy, and he didn't even have any of the jewels. He just wanted to watch the world. He said some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, he gave them out to people,
Yeah.
like, just gave them back.
So what do you do with people who just want to watch the world burn?
Yeah.
So now let's go to Lex Luthor. I'm very
I
interested
feel
in
like
this.
that's probably 80% of Bernie Bros want to see the world burn.
Of what?
Bernie Bros.
Bernie Bros?
80% of them want to see the world burn. Because right now, hopefully, they understand what the word meaning bust means. So, because right now, we fucking bust as America. And he said he was going to run it like a business, and we're going to be his 7 fucking figures. But, as you look into it, Lex Luthor, I feel, is the hero in the Superman because he is trying to save humanity. And even though he has killed innocent people and people have died because of certain things that he has done, but he's doing it for the greater good of humankind, the world. Because why should we be dependent on one man who is super when we were capable of taking care of and everything by ourselves? which then leads to now gene manipulation to start now creating superhumans opposed to regular human beings. So in my mind, Lex Luthor is actually trying to stop a world domination takeover from a superhero, quote unquote, because what happens? Absolute power corrupts absolute. So Lex Luthor is, in his mind, in my mind, I feel like he's doing the right thing. Unfortunately, in the cartoon world, there are people that have lost their lives. There are innocent casualties, but it's in the name of the greater good for humankind and humanity in the world.
Collateral damage.
But see, that's one of my main issues with this is what gives you the right to make that decision. Like,
There isn't a right.
but you made it though.
Because-
And it's for the greater good and all this, but we can say that.
Yeah.
Like we can, like I said, it's like for Batman it sounds good. Like I don't kill people. It sounds good. Like sounds good to say that, yeah, innocent people die. Well, hold on. Innocent people die. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and as far as I know, Superman ain't killing no innocent people.
But
like,
Lex
you know what I'm
Luthor's
saying?
a lot
Like,
different than
no, that he is, and I understand, and I'm not saying that I 100% disagree. So we're talking about comic books. I don't disagree with all of what Lex Luthor talks about. I do think that it's not exactly healthy to one put all your faith and all your and everything into one person, like because you can see how that can whether they leave or they die or whatever, like but on the same spectrum, like you look at their ideologies, like I feel like Superman has a better ideology. Like,
does,
like,
but-
and I feel like I don't know if that ideology is reachable. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you can be.
That's the ideology
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that he
so-
presents to you and you see. You don't know the real Superman. You don't know what really makes him tick. He presents
But
to
you don't
you
know
the world
rules
with
either,
things.
though.
But I can see by Lex Luthor's actions and what he's done, actions speak louder than words.
But if
What has Superman really done other
It's
than
not like
try to
Batman.
take down Lex Luthor, who's trying to save humanity?
he's trying to save humanity by collateral damage.
And the collateral damage is caused by Spider-Man purposely being in places like that to make Lex Luthor look like a bad guy.
I mean, but that's a perception though. We can only go by what they've both done.
Right, who's got the media? Who's controlling the media here?
I mean, in this scenario, wouldn't it be Lex Luthor because he owns? He's like, I mean,
No,
like,
yeah, he likes
you know,
pumping
he's
everything,
media
yes.
and all. So, but again, it sounds good. We're doing this for the greater good. We are. I'm sure Hitler said a lot of the same shit. Like,
Yeah.
we're doing it for the greater good. This is for. The
Well,
betterment
that's
of
how he got the
country.
support of the
Betterment
nation was because
So
he
it sounds
manipulated them
good.
to make
But-
them believe that he was doing it for the greater
Yeah,
good.
but in the end, that's your intention. There is this fact, and I think we talked about this last time on the last time. Your intention is almost, to me, greater than the outcome. Like, if you did a whole bunch of bad to get a good outcome, is that really a good outcome? Like, say if someone was like, I found out a way to make everybody in the world a millionaire, but 500 million people gotta die. Like, and we can do it. I can do it. I can kill them all. Like, it's collateral damage. But afterwards, we're all gonna be cool. We'll all have $1 million, and we'll all be poor again. And we won't have no starvation, and everybody will have food. But 500 million motherfuckers gotta be out.
Sounds like what
Done.
Bill Gates translated.
Like now, is it for the very good, right? Everything's wiped out, but we're ignoring the way we got there. Like,
Right.
you know, whereas with Superman, yeah, you can't save everybody, and you're the only person out there. You're the only Superman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
Because what happened to his planet?
he got blown up because everybody was, you know, corrupt
Because
and, you know.
everybody was super.
But doesn't Lex kind of want to do the same thing?
No, he wants to save humanity and he wants to save human DNA. He is totally against that cloning and taking the DNA from Spider-Man to do that. Has he created evil people to combat Spider-Man? He had to because he's a superhuman being.
But
But
you see, you're
for
for
me-
the greater good.
Yes.
You're doing all this bad shit for the greater good.
Right.
Whereas Superman is just fucking good. Now he may not be perfect.
No,
like,
he baits Lex Luthor into causing those problems.
but how did he
Superman
bait him? He's just existed. Like Superman is
Because
catching planes up the sky. And,
no,
and,
I get that. But
you
you
know
have
what
to
I'm saying?
understand that if you have an arch enemy and you know you have that arch enemy, you're going to want to make that person look as bad as they can in the light of everybody else. So Superman purposely will be in a place that will send someone in, and you'll have those casualties, which are then placed back on Lex Luthor and Lex Luthor Corp and the bad guys. But Superman is baiting him to bring into that spot. Why can't
How is he
Superman?
baiting him,
Because
though?
why can't Superman say, you know what, meet me in the fucking football field at the high school and let's fight it out? He doesn't. He purposely goes into buildings, Lex Corp buildings, to then purposely cause the problems instead of trying to handle it. If he's a superhuman and a superhero, why is he not mitigating it? Like actual mitigating between Lex Luthor and himself. Why would they not have some sort of truth and be like, hey, you know what? Well, I understand
what
where you're
is-
coming from. Like, why don't they work together? The whole thing is absolute power. Because there's not saying that once Lex Luthor's gone.
But no, Superman doesn't tell. Lex Luthor is trying to tell Superman what to do.
Yes.
Superman is not necessarily telling Lex what to do. He's telling him what you're doing is wrong and it's immoral and it's legal, and I have to stand up against that as Superman. Like, but
But you wouldn't be
That's
doing
different
this.
than-
You wouldn't be doing the stuff that was wrong and illegal if Superman never showed up.
I don't know about that, man. Like, I mean, like, yeah, I guess Lex Luthor wouldn't. I mean, there's always
Because
that counterbalance. I guess,
because he wouldn't
Superman
be
would.
triggered.
Lex Luthor wouldn't exist in his current form. Like his Kool-Aid wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Without Superman. Like, yeah, I guess. But a lot of people would not be around if Superman wasn't around to save them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Lex wasn't gonna save them. Lex would have never been Lex Luthor. I mean, he would have been some version of himself. I guess he would have maybe still been successful on Google, on, you know, like, but like I said, like I get what you're saying,
he was
but like,
never given that chance because he was so fixated on Superman.
Like,
saving
But
him.
never
that's
given
it.
the
But
chance
that's-
to be the
but-
hero that he could have been, huh?
Because he was fixated.
I feel like Lex wants to be Superman.
Because Lex wants to be the one to save the world. and
He
be the
wants-
hero,
he wants
and
to
that's
be-
why he was so fixated. Not so much a Superman, spider webs and stuff. He wanted to be the man to fix the world and save humanity.
Yeah, 'cause what
and
is-
then here comes the
'cause
threat
what
that
is-
he threatened.
Besides the fear of like, damn, this motherfucker's turn, what has Superman done? Like, Lex has done stuff to where it's like, oh, that guy is like, he's killed people. Like, what does Superman say? Like, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't put on Superman that like, it's
But
like,
what has America done? Who have we killed? How many since have we done?
so,
Exactly.
and we're not the good guy. Like,
And that's what I'm
we're
saying.
not the good guy.
But
Like,
in the name of the greater good.
but we're
And that's the whole point.
the greater good of
what?
who?
Nothing. The greater good
Of-
of people empowered to progress and move forward their agenda.
And that's Lex Luthor. It's the greater good of him.
He has all the money in the world apparently, and he could do whatever the hell he wants, but yet he still fights Superman because he believes deep down in his heart that Superman is going to be the end of humanity as we see it.
Wait, so did you say that Trump is no? I'm just kidding. Trump is who in this story? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I don't even want to answer that. That's, we're not gonna
I'm all
answer.
Trump's
He's
a
Jimmy.
I'm all Trump's a hell businessman.
He's Jimmy.
Trump is the Lex Luthor. No, I'm
No,
just
Trump is the fucking guy that's all trade you something today for a cheeseburger tomorrow.
kidding. Ooh, that's my son. Actually, my son is the hamburger.
No, not the
No,
hamburger.
my son is the hamburger.
Okay.
He did that to me a couple weeks ago. He said, yeah. You let me do that now, and I'll do it tomorrow. I'm like, no,
That's not how it
no.
works. That's not fair. Like,
You don't get the reward before. You know, it was some, or he did something. What was it? He got like in and out instead of before cleaning my his grandfather's car. He got the reward. You know, and it's like, no.
Yeah. I'll do it now. But no, that's not how
That's the hamburger. I'll give you the money tomorrow for the hamburger today.
Yeah, I don't remember what that guy was. What his name was.
Oh, from
Oh,
Popeyes.
I'll gladly pay you tomorrow for a hamburger today.
Yeah.
That's true.
Sounds like a place I used to work at.
I'm still owed $469 from them, so let's not.
All right, guys. This was really great. This was a great discussion. I'm glad you guys showed up today. I didn't even get to all of what I was talking about here. No, it's okay. These, you know what? I always show up with more topics than necessary, just so that in case. I mean, it'd be terrible to run out of things to talk about. But yeah, I don't know if you guys want to get into some healing or we can still talk.
I would love to get into some healing, but I do not know that my mother's meds.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
all that stuff.
So we're gonna definitely end this discussion.
Beautiful. Thank you guys.
Are we gonna get?
Do you have a lock code for the door?
Yeah.
Use it up to the front door?
Yeah, yeah. It's Amber gave me first.
Cool.
So
Then all I ask, gentlemen, is just roll these back up, and you can lean them against that door right there, so you don't have to open it. We don't have to worry about anything breaking. And draw with the door.
okay. So you're
Yeah,
you're
yeah. As you
Okay.
can tell, my mother's next to me.
Oh,
So,
okay. Gotta go fulfill that unconditional love.
yes. 100%. But I will be here next Thursday.
Fantastic.
And we'll just go from there. This will be a continual thing. I'm glad to see you.
I'm so glad to see you. Yes.
Nice to meet you, Derek.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, man.
And I'll bring some bullet points on my like sneakers.
Hey, man. You can come back
I'm
and forth.
teasing.
I'll bring some
Go
bullet
back
points
and
on
forth,
Killmonger's the hero. My belief is that Killmonger's the real hero. So
Oh, and Black Panther?
yeah, the real enemy of that story. You know who the real enemy of the Black Panther movie is?
America. This is
Huh?
always.
Who?
That was America.
I was not the right person.
The man.
No, the dad.
Oh, yeah, the movie, yeah, like, yeah.
The old king. Black Panther's father. What's his name? I can't remember their names right now.
Yeah,
T'Challa's father.
yeah.
T'Changa. T'Changa, he's the real villain of the story because he's the one that killed his dad,
Yeah.
killed his brother,
Lied
and then
about
made
it.
an orphan of the child,
Yeah.
and then the child became the anti-hero.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was really the one who orphaned the child and then said, bastardized the child. You know? Huh? Forgiveness next time.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm sure Amber would love to talk. Amber's gonna be here next week. I'd love to. Yeah, I think sure. Yeah.
Because like I was thinking about a lot about that. We were talking like, man, like, forgiveness is something that's hard.
Yeah, it's difficult, right?
Last week we
Like,
talked about boundaries.
I don't know, and like I don't know, and forgiveness is weird because I can't forgive you for someone else. Like, so like when law comes into it, everything is like talk about like we talk about like killing people and like definitely it's like. So where does forgiveness come in? Or does it come, or should it come in, or should it even be a factor? Or should it even be a thought? Is everybody worthy of forgiveness? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it,
Well, I'm just saying this, but in most Abrahamic religions, besides Judaism, the only person that's allowed to absolutely give forgiveness is God, the Creator. So it's just one of those things. And
that's it.
and
Yeah, I like talking to you because like you make me feel like I'm not like new ideas. No.
And then I have to go, but
Yeah.
like, Judaism is very, I have Hindu statues in my house, and I have Buddhas, because I feel they also go along with Judaism, with the reincarnation, with the forgiveness, with the peacefulness, with the forgiveness. They have not really experienced mass genocide. They've experienced colonialism and all that stuff, but they really haven't experienced true genocide. They killed themselves, and over thousands of years they've killed themselves to rebuild. But yeah, Judaism splits right there with it, and reincarnation and all that stuff. I believe there is more than one God, and so do Native Americans, and I believe not even a God, a power, a universe, an energy that is there to help people. So, but forgiveness we definitely need to cover. Because
Yeah,
I have
that'd be
a
a good
lot
topic.
of people to forgive.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's something that like yeah.
Forgiveness is an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing.
I think we're.
I think I'm gonna be ready for that conversation next week because I got some forgiveness to give over the weekend. But I'm really grateful that you're here, that you were here. I guess we'll take a break, and I don't know if you would like some healing or not, but we can take a break right now and just kind of turn off the recording.
Okay.
I guess.